What if I told you the faithful husband you've been praising on TV is anything but loyal? Behind those picture-perfect family portraits and reality show fairy tales, there's a shadowy chapter so dark even Papoose acts like it doesn't exist. Shocking, right? But ask yourself this. If a man is truly the king of loyalty, why are there children out there, his own blood, erased from the spotlight? Why do their names echo in whispers instead of being celebrated front and center? Tonight, we're yanking the curtain back on Papoose's dirtiest secret, the family he never wanted you to know about. Forget online gossip, we're talking receipts, insiders claiming they've witnessed it all, and a silence so deafening it screams betrayal. Could it be that the man hailed as hip-hop's most devoted partner built his empire on a lie? And what happens when those lies claw their way out of the shadows? Brace yourself, because this isn't just a story about Papoose. It's about deception, betrayal, and the children forced into silence while their father played America's poster boy for loyalty. Vegas has secrets, New York has legends, and hip-hop. Hip-hop has skeletons. Deep in the closet, you'd think rappers made careers selling IKEA catalogs. But few skeletons rattle louder than the ones lurking behind Papoose's perfect smile. Yes, Papoose, the man who built an empire on loyalty points, flashing the flawless husband card every time he stepped onto a love and hip-hop set. The man who waited outside prison gates for Remy Ma with roses, embraces, and a media circus. The man who became hip-hop's poster boy for commitment. But here's the kicker. The same man who supposedly erased his own children from the story like typos. In a Wikipedia page, let's rewind. Before Remy Ma, before VH1, before the endless interviews about love conquering all, Papoose was just Shamil Mackey from Brooklyn, hustling mixtapes out of a trunk for a name. And somewhere in the shadows of that grind, he wasn't just stacking bars, he was stacking babies, real kids, real lives. Yet somehow when the cameras rolled, those children vanished. Why? Why would a man so obsessed with loyalty bury his first family hidden in the shadows? Some whisper it was clever brand management. One anonymous source slid into our DMs like they were smuggling state secrets. According to them, insiders always knew about Papoose's older children. But producers? Oh, they didn't want the messy truth. They murmured it ruined the narrative of Pap as the devoted hero waiting for Remy Ma. So poof, the kids disappeared. Others insist it wasn't just producers. Allegedly, it was Papoose himself. He saw a chance to rebrand as the ultimate loyal husband, standing tall for his woman behind bars. Nothing, not even his own blood, was allowed to ruin that storyline. Think about it. When was the last time you saw his older children on Love and Hip? Hop? When did their names surface in interviews? Exactly. They became ghosts hidden behind Remy Ma's shadow, left off stage while Papoose polished his halo. And here's where it gets even juicier. While Pap strutted loyalty on national TV, those kids were watching. They were growing up. And the internet, brutal as ever, started poking around. Wait, doesn't Papa Papoose already have kids? One fan tweeted back in 2017. The post vanished mysteriously hours later. Coincidence or a cleanup crew in action? We dug deeper. Screenshots from old forums reveal names: Dejane, Shamil, Jr., Destiny. Not rumors, real people. Yet their father barely acknowledged them publicly. Instead, he doubled down on the Remy plus Pat plus baby Mackie saga, selling a modern fairy tale. Meanwhile, his real story rotted in the attic. One alleged former associate whispered off the record, "Pap ain't dumb." He knew the Remy story was pure gold, loyal black love. The man who waited 7 years. That's the kind of PR you can't buy. But the kids? That was messy. Multiple mothers, multiple timelines, zero chance to keep it TV clean. So he stayed silent. And let's be real, the hustle worked. Pap and Remy Ma became hip-hop's Bonnie and Clyde without the gunfire-free, but with a flood of photo ops. Every blog, every headline screamed, Papoose, the most loyal man in rap. But loyal to who? Loyal to what? Because loyalty isn't just standing outside a prison gate. Loyalty means raising the kids you already brought into the world. Loyalty means acknowledgement, not erasure. And yet, here we are, peeling back the glossy facade to reveal cracks so deep they could swallow his entire image. Now, let's talk about the first wife. Or should we say, the forgotten partner. Almost nothing is said about her, as if her existence was scrubbed too. But whispers claim she wasn't just a footnote. She was the beginning. The woman who carried his first children. The woman whose story has been muted, suffocated under Papoose's meticulously curated public persona. One anonymous family friend revealed she stayed quiet because Pap's team made it clear speaking out would bring heat while he climbed. Easier to stay silent than fight. If true, that silence wasn't just personal, it was enforced. And let's not ignore the irony. For years, Pap roasted other rappers for being fake. Fake thugs, fake stories, fake everything. Yet here he was, building an entire empire on a selective edit of his own life, erasing flesh and blood while preaching loyalty to the masses. Sarcastic, right? The realist won out here, treating his own children like background extras in a story cut from the final edit. But the internet has a way of digging up what's buried. Leaked photos, random Facebook posts, whispers from alleged relatives, all pointing to the truth. Papoose wasn't just a husband. He was a father long before Remy Ma stepped onto the scene. And those kids didn't disappear. They were buried under a mountain of PR stunts and reality TV edits. And this is where it gets painfully uncomfortable. You can hide the truth, but you can't erase the pain. Imagine being one of those kids scrolling through Instagram, watching your father celebrate loyalty while you barely get a mention. Imagine the anger, the betrayal, the feeling of invisibility. Sources claim one of his older children allegedly confided to a friend. He loves the cameras more than he loves us. True or not, it cuts like a knife. And here's the bombshell. Industry insiders say Remy Ma knew. That's right. Allegedly, she wasn't blind to the past. She knew Pap had kids, but the story wasn't about them. It was about her and him. For branding's sake, the silence persisted. So now we're left with a chilling question. If loyalty is Pap's legacy, what do you call erasing your own bloodline for fame? Loyalty, or betrayal dressed in, was enforced. And let's not ignore the irony. For years, Pap roasted other rappers for being fake. Fake thugs, fake stories, fake everything. Yet here he was, building an entire empire on a selective edit of his own life, erasing flesh and blood while preaching loyalty to the masses. Sarcastic, right? The realist won out here, treating his own children like background extras in a story, cut from the final edit. But the internet has a way of digging up what's buried. Leaked photos, random Facebook posts, whispers from alleged relatives, all pointing to the truth. Papoose wasn't just a husband. He was a father long before Remy Ma stepped onto the scene. And those kids didn't disappear. They were buried under a mountain of PR stunts and reality TV edits. And this is where it gets painfully uncomfortable. You can hide the truth, but you can't erase the pain. Imagine being one of those kids, scrolling through Instagram, watching your father celebrate loyalty while you barely get a mention. Imagine the anger, the betrayal, the feeling of invisibility. Sources claim one of his older children allegedly confided to a friend. He loves the cameras more than he loves us. True or not, it cuts like a knife. And here's the bombshell. Industry insiders say Remy Ma knew. That's right. Allegedly, she wasn't blind to the past. She knew Pap had kids, but the story wasn't about them. It was about her and him. For branding's sake, the silence persisted. So now we're left with a chilling question. If loyalty is Pap's legacy, what do you call erasing your own bloodline for fame? Loyalty or betrayal dressed in friends of the first wife slid into inboxes, spilling secrets. Claims of support checks that were late, or never came. Stories of birthdays ignored, graduations missed. Pap always prioritized the image. One alleged friend said he loved playing loyal husband to Remy Ma more than being present for the kids. He already had. Was every word true? Who can say? But perception is reality, and the perception was brutal. The first wife's voice may have been quiet, but in social media's echo chamber, it roared. Screenshots circulated. Fake DMs claimed to show Pap begging her to stay silent for the brand. Real or fake, it fueled the frenzy. Then came the photos. Blurry, old, low-resolution shots. A younger Papoose holding a toddler. A family cookout with half-cropped faces, yet undeniable resemblances. These weren't staged PR shots. They were raw, unedited, inconvenient reminders that before Remy Ma, there was another life, another family, another loyalty Pap never showcased. Comment sections erupted. How could he? So this is the man crowned loyal. Those kids deserved better. And while fans argued, the industry watched intently. Because but in this case, the receipts were turning on him. A high-profile podcaster dropped a bomb live. Pap sold us a fairy tale, and we bought it. But if these kids were real, if this first wife was real, then what does that make him? A fraud, or just another rapper rewriting history to suit the cameras? Brutal, yes, but also the question everyone was whispering about. Behind the scenes, murmurs suggested Remy Ma wasn't exactly thrilled either. One alleged insider claimed she always knew Pap had kids, but thought keeping it private was the respectful move. Now that it's public, it makes her look complicit. That's the twist nobody expected. The scandal wasn't just scorching Papoose, it was shaking Remy Ma's brand too. The power couple, once hailed as resilient, now looked like a manufactured facade. But hold on, there's more. As the first wife's shadow grew, legal whispers started surfacing. One so-called leaked document online hinted at old child support. Disputes. Nothing confirmed, nothing official, but juicy enough to make bloggers salivate. Headlines screamed, Papoose dragged to court over hidden kids. And once a headline like that spreads, the truth barely matters. Damage is done. Pap's loyal husband image wobbling, his fatherly persona collapsing. YouTube reaction channels were having a field day. He, out here playing Father of the Year for Remy Ma's baby while his first three lurk in the shadows. That's not loyalty, that's betrayal with a mixtape. One commentator quipped, dripping with sarcasm. Memes spread faster than facts. Side-by-side shots of Pap holding Remy's baby with captions like, forgot he had 3 practice rounds. Cruel, messy, exactly the chaos the internet lives for. But here's the kicker. Just as the fire seemed ready to die down, the first wife allegedly dropped another hint, this time through a friend. Claims that Pap wasn't just absent, he was manipulative, promised the world, then disappeared. Treated fatherhood like a costume. Wear it for the cameras, toss it when inconvenient. The betrayal narrative wasn't just alive, it was evolving. And the public? They couldn't get enough, because at the core, there's brutal irony. Papoose, the man who built a career preaching realness, now faced accusations of being the fakest of them all. And the proof wasn't in a contract or shady deal, it was flesh and blood. Children don't lie. Children don't spin stories. Children just grow up knowing whether their father showed up or didn't. So now the world had to wonder, was the loyal husband really capable of erasing his own kids? What else had he hidden? What else lurked in the shadows of that meticulously polished image? When the smoke cleared, Papoose stood amid a battlefield. His image wasn't just bruised, it was shattered. And the cracks weren't fine lines, they were gaping wounds. Once the kids had faces and names, the industry couldn't pretend anymore. The backlash was savage. Labels that once celebrated his family man branding began stepping back. He's too messy, one insider allegedly told us. No one wants to back a brand that sells loyalty on Monday and gets exposed for betrayal on Tuesday. It wasn't just labels. Sponsorships started drying up. One athletic apparel company that once featured him for Father's Day quietly cut ties. No announcement, just a silent scrub of his images. Silence louder than any press release. Fans weren't gentler. Reaction videos painted him a con artist. Memes crowned him the loyal fraud. Hashtags like Taj'd fake Pap and hard-hidden kids trended for days. In an era where one scandal can erase decades of work, Papoose wasn't just on the chopping block. He was being served to the wolves. And yet, in the heart of the chaos, Pap tried to push back. Rumors swirled that he was prepping a sit-down interview, his big tell-all moment. But before he could speak, Remy Ma allegedly unleashed more receipts, screenshots, quotes, maybe even an audio clip, each perfectly timed to shred whatever narrative he hoped to spin. The timing wasn't accidental. It was war, and just when the audience thought they'd seen it all, a new name exploded across headlines. Claressa Shields. Yes, the undefeated boxing champ. Yes, the woman allegedly tangled with Pap in ways too messy to ignore. Because here's the kicker. 2 families already shattered is bad enough, but whispers claimed Pap wasn't slowing down. He was allegedly plotting a new chapter, a new family, a reset button with Claressa. The irony? How do you sell loyalty while recycling relationships like mixtape covers? Remy Ma, of course, didn't stay silent. She allegedly went public with a warning. Claressa, don't make the same mistake I did. He'll give you the world, then take it back. Harsh, absolutely. But in the court of public opinion, it rang true. Fans swarmed Claressa's socials. Girl, don't be next. He already erased 3 kids and betrayed Remy. What do you think he'll do to you? And then came the baby rumors. Anonymous blogs claimed Pap and Claressa were planning a child. Screenshots of supposed DMs hinted at late-night conversations about starting fresh. Real or fake, the internet didn't care. It was too believable. The narrative was set. Papoose wasn't just a man with a dark past. He was a repeat offender, a man trapped in the cycle of loyalty theater, building families for the cameras, then disappearing when the credits rolled. And the scariest part? Claressa Shields might be next. Industry insiders murmured about DNA tests, paternity scares, Pap juggling image control like a 3-ring circus. Each rumor piled higher, crushing his reputation. By now, the question wasn't, did he do it? The question was, who's next? Even his closest supporters began to waver. Podcasters who once defended him started asking harder questions. One viral clip showed a host shaking his head. We wanted to believe in him. We wanted that loyalty story. But the truth is uglier than anyone expected. And that truth came with consequences. The fallout wasn't just financial, it was cultural. Papoose, once hailed as a symbol of resilience and commitment, had become a punchline. The loyal husband narrative had flipped into professional betrayer. Every appearance, every post, every mention carried baggage he couldn't shake. But here's the chilling part. Despite the backlash, despite the memes, despite the exposés, some say Pap still believed he could reset the narrative. That with Claressa, he could craft another illusion, another fresh start, another round of applause from an audience too distracted to remember the past. But the internet never forgets. And this time, neither will his children. No matter how many new families he builds, the shadows of the ones he left behind linger. Every new betrayal, every new erasure only deepens those shadows. So the question isn't whether Pap can move on, it's whether anyone will let him. And as whispers of lawsuits, DNA tests, and as whispers of possible involvement with Claressa Shields grow louder, one thing is crystal clear. Papoose's story isn't ending with a perfect family photo.